A Maltese shell segment this morning. We're lucky to have our guests from Malta, Nikolai Tanti, Aaron Pasela, and Aaron will start with the cylinder shells, and he'll give you some ideas of what they do in Malta, how they do things, and there'll be time for questions afterwards. And I'd like to thank the PGI for providing the space and helping with the funding to bring these guys over, the Fireworks Association for getting these guys over. And George Mifsud over there did the wheel demonstration earlier this week. And so it's been a little bit difficult, quite a challenge for everyone, because the materials here are not quite the same as what they have in Malta. So they've had to deal with that and try to make the best of it. We tried to recreate what we could, the best we could, with the materials and the chemicals and everything else, but it's not the same. So there are some additional challenges here. But well, we'll get on with it here, and I'll introduce Aaron. He'll be the first one up. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, for attending. Well, today we're going to speak about aerial shells. In Malta, cylindrical shells were the first shells that were introduced. By time, about in the 80s, spherical shells were introduced as well. But I think the Brainerd shells and the Maltese colored shells are the most popular in Malta. Brainerd shells are let off during all the day, at 8 in the morning, noon, and colored Brainerd shells are let off in the evening, when it gets dark. What is Brainerd? Brainerd is in Maltese means lightning or flash. Brainerd, back in time, was more sensitive. Many people did very well, but there were others who lost their lives. The Brainerd composition can be a bit sensitive, and we have to handle it with care, with maximum care. Well, nowadays, by time things evolved, people are more educated, more awareness, and we are switching more to perchlorate-based compositions rather than chlorate-based compositions. In Malta, aluminium and chlorate is banned to be mixed together, let alone using antimony and sulfur. You can do it, but if inspectors find such mixtures, you will be penalized. So, what is a Brainerd? Back in time, people used to roll their own Brainerd. So it was much more time consuming. So if you need to do 3 reports, you need to roll different thicknesses for the Brainerd tube. For example, 3 rounds for the first roll, 6 rounds for the second roll, 9 rounds for the third roll, in order to bring the timing. The timing, the sequence in Brainerd is achieved by different wall thickness of the Brainerd and different timing in slurry, in priming. What is slurry? Slurry is black powder, neat black powder, from the barrel. It is not in contact with water, so it is neat. Then we add gum arabic, and a few water in order to bind it, so that all the components are bound together and it becomes homogeneous. Let's go back to the composition, to the Bara composition. As I have said, nowadays the most popular one, the most popular Bara composition is perchlorate based. It is the most efficient. When I say efficient, it means that is burned all. No residues or few residues are left in the air, in the atmosphere. Nowadays, the most common one, and it is efficient without any more further risks. We need to maximize risk when dealing with Bara. So we are using 2:1. 2 parts perchlorate, 1 part aluminum. Maybe some of you mix sulfur or antimony, but I think this is the safest, perchlorate and aluminum. So what happens? Nowadays, the Bara process have evolved, have improved. Only few people are rolling paper tubes like this. In the past, they used to roll paper tubes. Then you have to let them sit. They need to dry very well. Then you have to try the timings. You continue rolling thousands of Bara tubes. Then you fill them up, close them, spike them one by one, which is very time consuming. Glue them, etc. Nowadays, we're moving to these kind of tubes. This is a sample which I brought from a tent nearby, because I do not have any left. We buy these kind of caps, which are dissolved in either acetone or nitrocellulose thinner. Then one end is closed. Then, with the use of a funnel and a measure, we fill them one by one. Afterwards, we close them with the cap, and we prime every single Bara. The reports in Bara, mainly we achieve the reports in Bara by priming, by using the priming. There are some people who use time fuse as well, but I think the first 3 or 4 reports we can do them with priming, with the slurry, no? Then the Bara have to dry very well. They need to dry well. They take time to dry. Humidity is the biggest enemy for the Bara, for the priming, because, as you know, gunpowder, black powder, potassium nitrate is very hygroscopic, so they need to dry out very well. So you can't prime 3 reports or 1 report, and after 2 days you test it, or like we did here. We couldn't do otherwise because we're short of time over here, obviously. But anyway, to have the best results, you need to let the priming sit and dry well. Then after 3 weeks, when it is dried very well, you can do your tests and to continue further priming. The most report that needs to dry out well is the 3rd report, or the report where you have the most wall thickness. Because, let's say that there's a difference between having a 1.5 millimeter wall thickness like this, or else you have 4 millimeter wall thickness for the barak. Well, the piercing of barak. There are people who tend to pierce the barak tube beforehand, prime the hole, and allow it to dry out. That is a safe method, and I think it is a good procedure in order for the slurry to dry out well. The questions for now?
How do you get the slurry different lengths in order to get different timing as you go around?
The more camera big you add with your gunpowder, the more you can, the more timing it gets, you know.
More delay.
The more camera big, it becomes more retardant.
Okay.
You know.
But as you go around, you have, I mean, the timing as you go around is very finely differentiated. You know what I mean? You go around, it's a very short difference between this one here and this one here.
But I'm not saying that those kind of reports, we call them babush sort of. They are spiral reports.
Okay.
Then we use an accurate machine to fine cut the time fuse.
So that is a time.
Yeah, that is a fun time fuse. But if you have 3 reports, there's no need for a time fuse there. No.
Do you fill the barrel all the way with flash or just part way with flash?
Maybe 3/4. You need to leave that 1/4, and then in order to put the cap. Even slurry, the way how you mix slurry does not need lots of water. On the other hand, for example, yesterday I mixed this, it was very hard. I left it very, then I covered it overnight with a plastic bag. It rested, and now it is more moist because it becomes homogeneous. This is the way slurry has to be, like Nutella or peanut butter. It doesn't have to be runny, because if it is runny, first of all, water is the enemy of potassium nitrate. And even when priming, you have to be consistent. Consistency is the key in everything. While drilling, while piercing, while ramming a spolet, it is the same procedure like ramming a spolet. You have to be consistent. If you prime the first roll, if you push 3 times on the first barra, you have to continue pushing 3 times in all of them. So it is like ramming a spolet, consistency. Because what happens, you will see, barra, it does like this. You need the perfect timing. No? More questions?
Excuse me. If you have a question, could you please raise your hand and I'll give you the microphone, because a lot of people can't hear the question in the back.
Can you share the percentage of gamma break you use between the timings?
It differs. Because not all the black powder is the same. You have to adapt to your black powder. Because if you're using hot charcoal, you have to. It differs a lot. So maybe you start from 7 grams for the first report, and then you start adding, you know. But this becomes we tried and error. By experimenting, by failing, we failed a lot of times. We're not experts. We learn from each other, but we do several tests. Here we do, I couldn't make very, I only tested once. I tested some barrel on the ground. I couldn't do test a shell because it didn't dry out very well. This is the way. This is a color change, for example. This is the way. We stack, we place barrel, the same way. We use the bricklaying, like laying bricks. In Malta, spherical shells, or multi-colored shells, are very popular as well. We have two types of stars, basically. We have low temperature stars, chloride-based stars, and high temperature stars, which are perchlorate and magnesium-based stars. When dealing with placing stars, you have to pay extra attention. Spread stars, the amount needed only. I don't want to see people placing stars, bag full of stars. If something happens to you, this kills you. The vapor that you inhale, that alone, if you have a bag full of stars. So the best procedure is to spread the stars for one shell on a piece of paper and place them one by one. Because stars can be very sensitive. Sometimes the weather is not stable. Even when preparing the barracomp, low humidity is very volatile. Makes the barracomp very volatile, very sensitive. So the humidity has to be from 60% upwards. Low humidity makes the barrel composition very. There are various ways how to mix the barrel composition. There are people who use the diaper method. I don't totally agree with that. I believe that the more homogeneous the composition is, the better, because you need the same amount of mixture in all the barrel. Not by just using the diaper method is only good for solids, in my opinion. So first you have to sieve very well. Perchlorate finely, then you add aluminum and sift it for 2 or 3 times, or 3 times. But not from a fine sieve, so that it falls down slow. Any more questions?
Hello, what is y'all's ratio for lift that y'all use for y'all's taller shells?
The lift?
Yes.
We don't use, but for lift we use gunpowder, just normal gunpowder. So
yeah, I'm saying like for like y'all measure how much lift y'all do by weight. Like say for instance the shell is 2 pounds, y'all use 10% of lift.
It differs. You either take in consideration the weight or the timings of the shell, because you can have the same shell with the same weight, but there are more timings. For example, in barrack shells in Malta, if you have seen some videos or you've been to Malta, they can be lighter. A barrack shell can be lighter than a colored shell, but there are many more timings. Boom, 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 boom. So it needs more lifting charge, you know.
Can you explain how you use like a strung disc or a container to hold all your lift powder rather than we use just loose powder. You use a, yeah, it's a spiked, like a maroon, exactly.
Describe a maroon.
Can you describe it for us? Because we use loose powder lift, and you put it in a container.
So we put the gunpowder in a container, then we either spike it or glue it in order to be confined very well, and then we just insert the lift charge in the the pass fire in the lift charge when it's ready. It is like a hard case like this, but it's smaller. Is that okay?
Oh, Aaron, can you describe how you pierce the Vera?
Sure. Well,
Thanks.
many people in Malta, they use different needles, like this, or like this. I brought only this few. I have more equipment back at home, but I have to spend a month over here, so I can carry all the first, I like to make a pilot hole. So if I need a 2.5 millimeter hole, I pierce a hole with a 2 millimeter needle, then I just widen. I widen the hole. Something else. When the Brainerd tube is filled with flesh, always put some wax on your needle before piercing. Some wax like this. Then you pierce the hole because you by the time you'll hear it, it starts squeaking, and that's not good. That causes friction and is very sensitive. Eh? So obviously you have to be constant. You have to be precise. I do something like this. I do not just push, but push and twist. I like to have a nice volcano shape for here inside. That's an extra timing. You can punch it as well to have a clean cut. But then, again, you have to adapt to your Arabic gum. You might need more Arabic gum in order to have better reports, you know. But I pierce the tubes, something like this. Just hold this firmly, not on your hand, but on a flat surface in order to make some force. Therefore here I used two types of needles. When you use one needle, the tendency is to break the cardboard from the inside. You know? Questions?
Your stars, your color stars, are they cut, pressed, or rolled?
No, pressed. For
Can I pass around that too?
yeah, sure.
Oh, where's it?
Which one? This.
The one, yep, no.
For Maltese colored shells, we press. Maybe I don't know whether we can pass it on, or you have a look after the seminar, after the talk. Yes, we press them. All these stars. These are cylindrical stars. And maybe 20 or maybe 30 years ago, they used to pump a single star by hand. Boom, boom. So it is time consuming. By time the hydraulic press was introduced, and it is much more convenient. Yes, cylindrical here, an cylindrical shells, we use mainly cylindrical stars, which are pumped.
Are the tubes made in Malta, or are you getting them from outside? Likewise, the plastic end caps.
The tubes, yes. Not these tubes, because these tubes I got them from here, yes. But we have suppliers in Malta who roll the tubes for us, obviously. They know our industry, they know our work as well, they know what we need. And we also, even some caps, yes, are made in Malta, others are imported.
Are the tubes parallel wound or spiral wound?
Parallel, yes, parallel. No, spiral. No. Do not use spiral because they does not do a good job. Eh?
Another question. Your first timing on your barrel, is it generically just straight black powder, or does the first timing include gum arabic also?
It needs gum arabic. Yeah, I mix gum arabic with it.
Would you be willing to divulge the percentage of gum arabic you used in a different? Is it like a 1%, maybe 5%, and then 10%, or is it differences in amount of gum arabic added to the black powder, percentage-wise?
Well, normally we use 7 grams, 6 grams of black powder for the first report.
With no gum arabic?
No, 7 grams of gum arabic with 200 grams of black powder.
So that's 7%, about 7, okay.
14%. 7 grams with every 200 grams, so it's 14%.
Can you tell us how you prime your stars to get them nice and even so they stack nicely?
So everybody can hear.
How do you prime your stars so they're nice and evenly when they're stacked? Those are beautiful and there are no edges either.
Yeah. This job was done by Mitch, so Mitch, can you tell them? How did you prime the stars?
That's a secret, I'm sorry.
No, the stars are allowed to dry after they're pumped, and then they're just dampened with a gum arabic solution, and then they're diapered in the prime. And it makes a nice smooth prime on the stars. And then they dry, and you can load them.
Someone brought me these. This is a lift disc. These are these are used in multi-break shells, and all the multi-break shells. And this is like a shock absorber. These are placed under the multi-break shell, and the lift charge is placed underneath. So this protects the shock of the lift charge, and this holds some pressure in the mortar, in the gun. So it should be inserted cleanly in the gun. Tell me, Tom.
I would point out, since I watched Aaron I would point out that I watched Aaron make all the Barra that they're going to be using in their shells. And when he talks about consistency, the way he was priming and fusing, what I consider fusing, but priming the Barra, he was extremely consistent. The way his finger was moving over the Barra was absolutely the same, and he did hundreds of them. And that consistency is why they get such tight timings. So you take it up on your own and you start doing this. Do one and then keep doing them. And when I did it in my shop, I did like 30 Barra, and then I let them dry. I lit the first one and the last one I did, and that gave me a little inkling of how consistent I was when I'm priming the Barra.
Yes, you have to be consistent. Well, this comes by practice, because I've been doing Barra for the last 10 years, priming Barra, and we have thousands of Bera to do. So you have to learn by experience. In Malta, apart from Bera is used as well in the kasha, the battery, what is called? Well, I don't know how to call it.
Like finale chains.
For the battery, and we have thousands. So first, we start learning how to prime on smaller salutes, on smaller, you know, there are more quantities, and by the time you get more used to it. There are people who use a knife, for example, in order to prime the Bera. I learned how to use just my fingers, act like this, and I do pretty well, I think. And let's hope for the best for next Friday. I don't know.
Aaron, in one of your 6-inch Bera,
In one of your 6-inch shells, how many Bera are inside?
I don't know. 80. It depends. It depends what you're doing. There are sometimes you have 200 or more.
right, but that's per break.
Yes, per break.
Right. And so for 3 breaks at 80, there's at least 240.
In the whole shell.
Yeah.
You need thousands. We do not prepare. The PGI is maybe we prepared 4 Bera shells, 5 Bera shells. But for the festa we have 40 Bera shells assigned to every individual, you know.
So in an average year for you,
So just in an average year, how many Bera do you make for your festa?
15,000.
15,000?
To prime, no, just Bera.
Yeah,
prime
just Bera.
15,000.
10,000.
And then you have the earrings. In Malta we use smaller Bera, which are like, instead of color inserts, they are Bera inserts. They are 6 mm, like this, sort of, but smaller, 6 mm. You have another 5,000, for example. Well, Bera is very time consuming. It's much more time consuming than color shells, huh? Because all right, you can press the stars with the color shell, but you can't use equipment for Bera. Okay, this is much less time consuming because we are not spiking Bera anymore. Our forefathers used to spike all the Bera. Maybe nowadays we spike only the first report because it is a bit thin and fragile, you know. Any more questions? Or we can move to cylindrical shells, to spherical shells. Mitch? This hot.
Aaron, oh.
Do you use any special formula for your black powder for the priming?
No, mainly the same stuff. If you have good black powder, if it's good for the lifting charge and for the brake charge, it is good for the priming. You need a less hot black powder maybe for the drivers. That's okay. But we use priming for black powder for the priming. It's the same like the black powder we use for the lift charge and the brake charge.
Aaron, do you ever use cut stars for anything in your shells?
Cut stars?
Cut stars, yeah, the little cubes.
For the Bera?
Oh no, just for any shell. Do you ever use cut stars? I know you pump most of them, but do you use some cut stars?
Well, nowadays, you can use cut stars, but obviously they are more time consuming.
Yeah.
They do a pretty good job because the explosion sort of is bigger. But nowadays we are for the center stars. We use round stars and pump cut stars. All right?
Any other questions?
Oh, what do y'all use as for the brake powder? Do y'all use slow flash, or do y'all just fill it to the top with black powder, or the braking of the shells?
Well, sometimes we use black powder, sometimes we use cork coated with black powder. Yes, it is less expensive. And yes, we sometimes we use some flesh to. It depends. It depends how strong your black powder is.
The question was what they use for burst charge, in case anybody didn't hear it.
Right. That's right. We use black powder and sometimes we mix some flesh as well.
Some of the rock reports are colored, red, whatever. Are you just adding barium, strontium?
Some of the Barak reports are colored. You're just adding strontium nitrate or barium nitrate to the the flash mix.
We use strontium nitrate. We use barium chloride.
Chloride.
It is the best color donor.
Right.
You can. It's irreplaceable for the color for the green flesh. And
I'm going to keep Scott running. When you do the color flash, he said they use barium chloride. That's got a lot of nasty things in along with it. If you look at Hart's book, he has some Maltese color flash formulas. If you're going to try it, make sure you're well versed on the safety aspect of it, because it's very dangerous. The other thing is, if he had mentioned they dust with flash sometimes, well, they use flash for brake. It's just a light dusting. They're not putting like 10 grams of flash into these shells. It's lightly dusted and screened out, and it's a very small amount, like 1 or 1.5%. So if you're going to try this stuff, you really need to know what you're doing before you start playing with it.
That's right.
So when you build your shells, your stars are obviously larger on the outer wall, on the inside of the case, maybe 3/4 of an inch or an inch. As a general rule, what's the ratio for inner stars size-wise with your chloride stars? Would they maybe be 2/3 or smaller or 1/3 smaller than the outer stars?
The inner stars?
Yes.
This is a matter of preference, but I prefer using 6mm stars. But this is a matter of preference, as I have told you. 6mm stars, I think, are the most commonly used for the center stars.
Aaron, I think he's also asking, like, on the outer ring.
I think he's asking what size, like for the outer ring versus the center. So the difference.
It depends on the size of the shell. For example, we use 7/8 for 7-inch stars, 6/8 for 6-inch stars. Oh, sorry, 6-inch shells. It depends. It depends on the size of the shell.
But the inner stars are always the 6mm?
6mm. There are people who even cut 8mm stars. Yes.
I think he's asking like in a 7-inch where they have 3 colors.
3 rings?
Yeah, 3 rings. What would the middle, not the center, but what would the middle ring be? Like you use 3/4 and then 1/2 inch and then 6mm.
Yes, but this is according to the preference. There are people who use 5/8, 6/8, and 7/8, for example. Not always does the same, you know. Not everyone does the same. Okay.
Oh, another one? Okay, there we go.
You said, I think I heard you say there was some push in Malta to move away from chlorate colors to perchlorate? Is that because there was some anxiety about?
Not chlorate colors, not just chlorate, not chlorate colors. I said we are banned to use chlorate with aluminum.
Okay.
Or other metals like magnesium, magnesium, etc.
But you don't have any concern about black powder or burst charge mixed together with chlorate stars, a cylinder shell, when you're wrapping on it to consolidate it. That's not seen as a danger.
Supposedly you don't do it either, but
life goes on.
Yeah.
Could you talk a bit about spiking?
Yes, there are different types of spiking. It depends what kind of burst charge you have inside the shell. If there is a high explosion, you have to widen your string, sort of. If the explosion in the inside of the shell is soft, you can spike your shell thoroughly. You know, you can spike. What do you say? You can spike the vertical and the belly. You can spike tightly. It depends. Not everyone works the same in Malta. Not everyone has the same, uses the same burst charge. So this is according to your preference and to your method of work. But if you have soft burst charge, your shell needs to be confined very well. So you need to spike it well, glue the strings, and then maybe wrap it again with paper in order to create a good explosion. A soft explosion, but it works well. You need to balance your spiking with the inner burst charge.
Aaron, just I might mention, some people are completely unfamiliar with spiking solid string vertically and horizontally, and in Malta I see you do that on especially the color shells. Is that right? Just for information for everybody.
First of all, we use cardboard cans, and then we close our cans with these kind of discs. You know, the thicker the discs, when you spike, the explosion goes from the belly. So first you have to spike very well the vertical part. Then there are people who prefer to widen up, make a few spaces in the belly, or there are people who prefer to spike the same, like the vertical side. No? But this depends on what you're using. If you're using a soft break charge, you have to spike very well to be confined, and the burst charge breaks very well. You know, if inside of the shell there's an explosion already, you have a lot of break charge or flash powder, etc. You have to open your strings.
Aaron, also rolling the casings. Probably most people here are not familiar with how you roll the casing wet with wheat paste for like the color shells.
Yeah.
If you could just describe briefly how you roll the casing, with wheat paste.
Well, first we cut cardboard according to the length of the shell. We roll it twice, so it takes two rounds on the case former. Then we cut the same length of paper. We glue the cardboard we use wheat paste. We glue it from the two sides. We glue the paper as well, and then we roll it. And it becomes something like this, similar to this. it is very well wrote, you know. But we use hard cases with cardboard and paper, not for example like the Italian style. I think it is a more softer case. It is paper based.
Do you use pulverone or something like it, like we used to fill the spaces inside the shell with something that's inexpensive and so on?
As a brake charge?
Not as a brake charge, but between the brake charge and the rings of barrel.
Make sure the shell is tight. The Italian way is pulverone. Keep the stars from filling in the gaps between the stars.
Correct, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I didn't understand the question. All right. All right, okay, all right, understand. Well, in the past, I used to remember my colleagues, they used to fill. After that, they place a ring of Bera or a ring of stars. They used to fill it with sawdust. Now this practice has become sort of obsolete, and we do not do it anymore. Because by the time things evolve, we learn new things. But I remember it this way. For example, with every ring of Bera, I used to fill sawdust in every ring of Bera. You can imagine how time-consuming that is, and it is pathetic. Eh? But nowadays we fill in. If you have large inserts, like bomblets, for example, if you have 5 bomblets, you have to fill in either with paper or sawdust. Yes, you have to fill it up.
Yeah, Brad, the question with the pulverone is they don't use it like we do.
No, we don't use it. We don't use any pulverone. No. We used to use just either sawdust or paper to fill in the dead blanks, you know.
But that's for filling, but for pulverone we use that different. There's a core, and then to fill the space between the burst charge and the, say we got comets on the outside, we have a rough powder, it's not as fast as gunpowder, and it's just a filler. That's what he's talking about, just to clear it up.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
The one thing that I think,
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Hanging around Mitch for a while, and watching these guys, the comets are put in there when the paper is wet and they shrink around. They don't fill the voids on the outside of the comets like I do for my Italian style. That's what I think Brad was asking. So, you know, when they get to the bigger inserts, then they fill the voids, like you said, with paper and things.
For example, this shell has been, these stars has been placed in a wet can, So that gives you the benefit, not to insert extra wedges. Sometimes, yes, we need to put some wedges in order to be placed, well, you know. But this one, for example, the shell, you can see it if I do like this, they don't fall. Because they have been stepped very well, and the can was, they packed their stars while the can was wet. So it shrunk with the stars. Very good job. Kevin.
What weight of paper are you using for the casings, and how many turns usually?
Normally we use 2 turns. It depends on the ship. But yes, the kind of cardboard we use back home, for example, we use 350 GSM cardboard, which means GSM means grams per square meter. You weigh 1 meter by 1 meter of cardboard. You weigh it, and the amount, the weight is 350 GSM, grams per square meter. Yeah, we roll 2 rounds, and in order to fill up, we don't have paper, like we are very short of trees. So as paper, we use feedbacks. No? Tell me, Tom.
Just an explanation, I'll do the conversion. They're using a poster board that's about 0.016 of thickness. That's similar to your 240 GSM, the actual thickness of the poster board they're using. And they do 2 turns of that, plus 2 turns of the paper. And so that's just, I'm doing the imperial conversion for you on the fly.
Thank you.
It's about 40-pound paper.
Yeah, it's 40
pound, 40 weight.
And I'll let you all in on the secret of where to get the chipboard. You go to Costco, you go back to the toilet paper and the paper towel rolls, and it's the stuff that's in between the layers is it's perfect for this. And the price is right.
Right, any more questions?
Talk to him afterwards.
Oh, hello. I've read multiple books about barrack shells, and most of the color compositions, they have something that I've never heard of. It's red round powder, and it's normally for the red color. It's called, red ram powder. So I have no idea what it is.
Well, we use strontium for the red comp, you know?
I think it's oxalate. Petroleum oxalate.
Any more questions? We'll move on to our next speaker, if that's it.
Fine, Scott.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Aaron. That was great. And up next, we have Nikolai Tante from the St. Catherine's Club in Malta, describing his shell building experience.
Hello, I'm Nikolai. I come from Zurich, Malta, and I've been working fireworks these last 12 years now, mainly on round stars and round shells and shapes. Basically, I have some notes. A round shell obviously should be round from anywhere you look at it, not like these cylindrical shells, you know. And my guess is, through my experience, that the stars makes up of mainly 70 to 80% of the beauty in the round shell. So your focus should really be on the star itself. So I will start talking to you about some safety issues that you really need to take care when rolling stars. It's one of the dangerous things I find in a firework factory. You cannot regulate how much you have like stars and composition with you, because we roll the stars, you know, for production. So you'll have like a star roller filled with stars. We try to, you know, dress fire protection and full face mask. Remember that if something goes wrong, it's directly into you. So be careful. We check the climate, the temperature, and the humidity, because if it's very dry, it's highly sensitive. You need to keep that in mind, and just only leave with you the material and the composition you really need to work with. as in stars, I prefer to use metallic fuel-based stars. They look better, especially the magnesium stars. The compositions for the stars does not apply for pressed stars. They usually look a little bit whitish when you press them. It's okay, but for round stars, they are fast burning. They are good. If you are a beginner and you wanna start rolling the stars, yes, you can start rolling potassium chloride stars. They are easy to roll, you know, but just for you to figure it all out when you're still beginning doing this stuff. I use water-based and alcohol-based stars. The advantage is that when you are using magnesium and magnesium stars, you don't really have to treat them with paraffin oil, and because there is no water included in the composition, and they seem to dry even faster. I roll thin layers, leave them dry for a couple of days, and then roll a little bit more, and I let them dry and then start gauging them. It's important to gauge the stars very well. I usually use like even 0.3, 0.5 difference in gauging the stars. They need to be perfectly gauged so that you have better color changing, you know, and be very careful when priming them. They are not easy to ignite at all. Pressed stars, cut stars, they have edges. They can easily ignite, but round stars, you know, are more roundish, and even they tend to sort of glaze if you leave them for a long time rolling. So you need to, you know, by experience, be very careful and find your way. For something very basic to close a round shell, if you find difficulty in sort of balancing the burst inside and the outer layer of pasting or even spiking, you can just go and refer to gunpowder. Literally black powder, you granulate it and you start working with it. But for our expenses, we use cork or we use rice hulls like here, or cotton seeds primed with black powder. Then we add flesh in the center, and it will work fine. It just works fine. You just need to then adjust the pasting on the shell. We in Malta spike our round shells because we were sort of raised spiking shells, and then when the round shells were introduced, we sort of adapted our spiking methods on the round shells. It doesn't have to be like that. Nowadays, we are using pasting machines. Here you use a lot the wasp, but in Malta we use a lot the Chinese version where it pastes on the horizontally. That shell, we don't spike and then paste them on machines. Just put them on machines and paste them. That's all. For round shells with inner petals, I could see here you were like pressing the paper inside the shell. It's a very good method which I used to back in Malta. We even use hemispheres which we punch them. It might be a faster method, and we leave the hemisphere there to have, you know, the inner petals. For more productive, you know, work on round shells, we can even use microstars like granulated or round straws or the crackling. We mix it with the cork itself. We add flesh, and when the shell breaks, you could see an inner sort of petal of strobing or glitter effect, but it's not that amazing, like when you have when you have the inner casing, or when you place and form the hemisphere itself. Any questions yet?
Are you making your own round hemispheres, or are you buying them from somewhere? Sorry.
Are you making your own hemispheres and or are you buying them from outside? How does that work?
We buy up to 16-inch, but we make our own, even 16, 19-inch, 24, 27. We make our own hemispheres.
On a former of some kind?
Yeah, sort of. We have like cardboard cut into, you know, set, and we leave it compressed.
Okay.
Then we trim the edges.
Are you? Oh, sorry.
Are you using string to spike your round shells as well?
I use string to spike, but it's just because, you know, Maltese were used to string, you know, the high shells, and then we thought, yeah, we might string the round shells too.
Over there. On the other side.
When you're manufacturing your stars, the alcohol probably has a small amount of water in it, you know, because over time it absorbs a little bit of water. Do you have to add anything to the alcohol because you're dealing with magnesium to mitigate the issue with water?
I haven't had so much problems yet so far. I buy like 99.9% alcohol.
Okay.
So I'll be sure. But when I roll the stars, I never leave them in a storage. I just put them a bit away in a different location overnight. So if there is a spontaneous combustion or something, you know, it would just be only a small batch.
Okay, and then when you spike your round shells, how do you finish them? Do you use a pasting machine to put a couple of layers of tape on?
Oh no, even when we spike, we still paste the shell. It's just, you know, extra help to the round shell.
So do you use less pasted paper if you use string?
Yeah, I guess so, because you need to balance a bit the outside with the inside, you know.
Hey, Nikolai. The beginning, you said you do 10 applications. Were you talking about 10 increments of powder added to the stars in the roller? Is that what you meant?
No, I meant thin layers of star rolling. When I roll stars, I just go on thin layers, let it dry, and another thin layer, not all at once. It might, during drying, it might crack, you know?
Right, so you apply the composition 10 times before you take them out.
Thin layers.
Oh, okay.
What kind of alcohol do you use?
I use ethanol or isopropanol.
Yes.
Oh.
Are you using phenolic or red gum as the binder?
Yeah, I asked her, is he using phenolic or red gum with his alcohol-bound stars?
The compositions, they have phenolic or red gum, but I apply like 2 to 3% of PVB, and it works just fine.
When you roll, do you have a problem with the PVB sticking to your drum?
Yes, a little bit. That's why I prefer to roll just thin layers and clean.
Scott. Going back to stringing your shells, spiking your shells, the ball shells, talk about just how much you put on the equator and how many verticals you do, because it's not a solid spike or horizontal or vertical.
I always spike round shells vertically from this bullet down and round. You apply how much you really want. It's difficult to get a full closure. I don't suggest you put a lot of string, you just a little bit of help. It sort of even compacts the shell a little bit more.
And on the equator is, and around the equator is just maybe 8 or 10, 12 wraps, right? Depending on the size of the shell.
Strings?
Horizontal.
No, horizontally I just don't put strings, just round.
Nikolai, people may be interested to know how you lift your shells. Put the lift charge under the ball shells that you make?
No, you can use like ready-made cones. You just put the lift and just fix it. I usually put black powder in a piece of paper, just like a sort of like a, you said, maroon under the cylindrical shells, and then just attach it to this bullet and roll the paper for safety.
You don't use the cushion like you do on a cylinder shell?
Oh, there are some people which think that the cushion would help, but really it doesn't. You could easily see sort of a dent on the side of a round shell. A round shell is, I mean, it's safe as it is. You know, we managed to lift like a 38-inch in Malta. That's the biggest size, and my guess here is like 62-inch from with Jim and Eric, and they had no cushions. So.
Any other questions? Oh, we got one back here.
Him, no.
Do you? How you doing, Nick? Are you having fun up there? On your ball shells, are you top fusing the time fuse, or do you put it down in the bottom?
No, I put down.
It's always down.
Yes, it's always down.
Stylistically, artistically, is there a difference in style between a Japanese shell and a Maltese round shell?
Finished or preparing sort of the work for it, or finished shell. I mean, you find different methods on how you work. The Italians work different than us. We might work different than Japanese, but in Malta we've been seeing some really good round shells. I mean, really, some of them just you choose a couple of people, but they are very perfectly round with multiple inner petals and ghost shells and other effects. The problem with Malta is we don't work this just a full-time job, and we are not a company. Like somebody can spend time on making compositions, the other can perfect his way of rolling stars, and another person calmly closing shells. Usually it's a one-man job, like I have to mix my compositions, check if they're okay, roll them, be careful how to roll, close, find the method of closing the shell, and hand pasting them. So it's more like a big headache for us, but we still manage.
Any other questions?
On his cell phone, I have seen some. On his cell phone, I have seen some 6-inch and 4-inch ghost shells that he has made. I can attest that every star is like it's on its own electrical switch. They are on and they are off in absolute perfection. Incredible, incredible work that this man does. Incredible.
Any other questions?
Are they selling the t-shirts as a fundraiser?
No. Those are only for them and the people that helped them out this time. Yeah, nobody, yeah. Thank you. Well, if that's no more questions, I'd like to thank Nikolai for this great presentation. A big thanks to all three fellows from Malta here, Nikolai, Aaron, and George, for putting all this time and effort into, you know, for our enjoyment and education here. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Scott.